crowd that we've put together on Wednesdays. And I love the format where we're pushing it through the leaders to bring in guests and really kind of mixing it up a little bit. And I actually stole Andrea Beem from Matthew. Matthew did the work and asked Andrea to be to be on his call. And I'm like, whoa, you're getting in my sandbox here. So Andrea Beem is a rock solid friend of mine. She is runs a team up in Oregon. She was a KW mastery coach and has just really been in the business for a long time. And the thing, let me pull something up real quick. The thing I love about Andrea specifically is she's a giver. She'll give and give and give. And when I first met her, it was really the indicator that I thought she was really a good fit for building an empire in this in the brand. And so we created a friendship first, and then we're able to move into a place to where we're now business partners and here in Albany, Oregon. She's the owner and principal broker of the Beem Team LLC, previous a MAPS coach, 2015 Small Business of the Year, professional speaker, and soon to be published author. I know she's been going the coast and just grinding on her book. Can't wait for that to come out, but she is really a rock solid leader. And when I look at Andrea, I see really the fabric of what we're looking for as we grow this to a 500,000 organization. Looking for team leaders that care about other people, that willing to contribute. And just like today's call, she's here to contribute. And when we asked her if she'd be willing to provide some content that's valuable and maybe timely for people right now, she said, absolutely, hand up, ready to go. So with that, I'd like to humbly introduce you to Andrea Beem and turn the call over to her so she can talk to you about some subjects that are going to help your business now. So Andrea, welcome to the call.
Thank you. Now that I'm officially blushing over here, holy cow, that was quite the introduction. I'm super stoked to be talking to you guys today. I did this class about a week ago for some local real estate agents, and have been asked to kind of teach this pretty much everywhere I can, because I don't know about all of your guys' areas, but just out of curiosity, how many of you guys are in a shifting market where you are? I'd kind of like to just see a raise of hands. Because we're all.
It'd be easier to say who's not in a shifting market.
Who's not in a shifting market? Yeah, because that's crazy. I want to know where that spot is.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Absolutely. So a lot of us are feeling it. A lot of us are seeing it. A lot of us are seeing the stats come out. I don't know if you guys saw the NAR stat that came out for May, saying that the amount of showings being logged in the super key boxes reduced by 24% in the month of May, which is staggering. They haven't released that for June yet, so I'm kind of curious to see where that landed for June. So just that one national stat, I'm not going to go into all of our local stats, but when we did the class here locally, we talked about what are the stats for days on market, for months of inventory. We went from 2 weeks of inventory to a month and a half of inventory in a matter of 30 days. And so, that was a pretty big jump for a very short amount of time. Now, comparatively speaking, I've also been in markets where we had 18 months of inventory. So I've seen both ends of the gamut. And I got licensed in 2008. So I lived through that market as well. And so I'm hoping to share a couple tidbits with you guys today about just talking your clients through a shifting market, because all ships float at high tide. We've all had probably some great times the last couple of years. If you've been in the market the last couple of years, we've probably all had some pretty good times, maybe not good times with writing 15 offers for one client, but it's been craziness for the last few years. And now all of a sudden, a very different skill set is going to have to emerge when you're dealing with your clients, because it's just turning into a different kind of market. And there's opportunities in all kinds of markets. So I don't know if you guys have heard the phrase before that sellers are typically 6 months behind the curve and buyers are typically 6 months ahead of the curve. And if you haven't heard that before, simply what that is kind of implying is that sellers typically are kind of in denial, right? For a little while, they tend to be in denial. They tend to lag behind what's happening in the market. They don't want to accept that maybe the market is downturning, even though they see the signs of it. They tend to be in denial for a little longer. Whereas when buyers are out there searching, they're ahead of the market. So they know what good value is. They know what every house is going for and which one has the most value to give. And they're very knowledgeable about that, which puts them 6 months ahead of the market. Okay. So knowing that, you guys have a gap in your clients in terms of expectation, unsaid expectation. There is a huge gap in between your sellers and your buyers that you as the professional have to figure out how to bring that gap in closer. Does that make sense? Oh, I'm seeing a lot of head nods. Awesome. I love it. I love I've got engagement here. This is good. I might have you guys jump in here with me in just a minute. Just kidding. Don't worry. I won't call on you. All right. So let's talk about kind of what that means. A lot of our job is as a consultant, not a salesperson, first off. And this might be a controversial topic. I think some people will disagree with me that we are salespeople. In my opinion, we're not. In my opinion, we're consultants. I'm not going to sell you a house that you don't want to buy. Okay. I am here to be a consultant for you. I'm here to share your options. I'm here to also share your consequences to those options. And I'm here to give you the chance to make the most educated decision that's right for you. That's my job. And part of that is also being willing to have difficult conversations with our clients. I think a lot of us are scared, especially in a shifting market, to have to go into a seller who is, maybe not quite ready to accept that their house might not go as fast, might not go under contract in 24 hours. It might not go under contract in 3 days. And they still remember that 6 months ago, their neighbors sold their house in 3 days for $100,000 over asking price. That's still in their head, right? And so these can be very difficult conversations to have and maybe even scary, right? Because who wants a client going, what the heck are you talking about? What do you mean my house isn't worth that, right? Everybody's like, whoa, nobody's quite wants to deal with that. And if you're prepared to deal with it, those conversations can be way more productive. Being honest seems like it's easy enough, but in a shifting market, it can maybe not feel quite so easy. But I'll tell you what's harder, and hear me when I say this, what's harder is agreeing with them and essentially letting them down later when what they expected doesn't happen. That is way worse, because clients are hiring you to be the expert. And sometimes the expert means you're sharing information with them that's, you're not sugarcoating it, okay? So you gotta be willing to have those conversations. I wanna go through 4, I hope you guys have your notepads, 4 ways in which we can have some of these conversations. These are just some basic foundational pieces. Number 1, are you ready? Dun, dun, dun. I feel like I need a drum roll. Just kidding. Okay. Number 1, build rapport. We talked about this in our script practice this morning with my team. You have to build rapport fast. Have you guys heard of the Ford model? Yeah, a few of you have heard of the Ford model? No? Okay, for those of you that haven't, Ford just simply stands for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. You have to find a connection with your client quickly. By finding a connection, it builds trust. And in this market, you're going to need them to trust you. So use that model to find a connection with them, either via, maybe you have a connection with their family, maybe you have a connection with what they do for a living somehow. And it might be a stretch, right? Like somebody might say, well, I'm an engineer. Okay, well, I'm not an engineer, so I don't have a connection there. But you know what? My husband is. So I can say, yeah, my husband's an engineer and he went to college, at the same college that you did. You might have to look out a little farther to find your connection, but find the connection fast, because that's what's going to build your trust. So that's number 1, build rapport. Number 2, educate, do not debate. Educate, do not debate. Remember, I just said your job as a consultant, you've got to share their options. don't share too many options. That also overwhelms. Okay. Educate, don't debate. Number 3, dig deeper and ask questions. Make sure that you understand their underlying motivation and their underlying emotion that's involved in them buying or selling. And number 4, share your experience. Now, if you don't have experience in this market, let me ask, how many of you agents are new? Less than 2 years in the business, let's say. Okay, I see a couple hands up. If you personally don't have the experience, borrow someone else's. Okay, so for example, my team, I tell my team all the time, use my experience because I've lived through that down market. And even though you haven't, you can share the experience that I had because I'm going to share those stories with you. And you can then share those stories with your clients. I'm going to give you an example. Back in 2008, 9, 10, and 11, one of the biggest lessons that I learned with my clients is that 90% of my clients always felt in hindsight like they wish they would have ripped the Band-Aid off faster. I wish I would have just moved a little bit faster, because by waiting, by being in denial, by ignoring what was going on or thinking I was going to hold out for a better offer, in the end cost them a lot of money. And in some cases, it cost them their home, right? In extreme cases. That was the biggest lesson that I learned. Now, you may not be able to say that because if you didn't live through that market, you can't say that was the biggest lesson I learned, but you can say, you know, I was listening to an industry expert this morning and she said this was the biggest lesson that she learned with her clients back in 2008, 9, and 10. Borrow other people's experiences. Leverage other people's experiences. Okay, so those are just 4 foundational ground rules for having these conversations. I'm really quickly going to go through this, you guys. This was an hour class and I'm shortening it down to like 20 minutes. So you guys are going to get lots of knowledge crammed in. Okay, the next thing that we're going to talk about is how to have these conversations. It's called framing. Anybody ever heard of framing? A few nods. Okay, there's a couple different types of framing. And the first one, this is the best one that you guys can use out of all 4. Pre-framing. So pre-framing, another way to think of this is killing the monster while it's small. Okay, we know from experience they're probably going to have certain objections. And I know some of you, hopefully all of you, have heard about objection handling and script practicing. There's going to be some objections that you guys just get over and over and over again. So instead of waiting and being in defensive mode, waiting for them to bring up the thing, right? The thing you're worried about them bringing up, go on the offensive and bring it up. Well, you might be wondering, you might be wondering how long it's going to take to sell your house in this shifting market. You may be thinking that your neighbor just sold their house 3 months ago for $100,000 over asking price, and you're wondering if you can do the same, right? You bring up the objections before they do, and that's called pre-framing or killing the monster while it's small. You tackle it before they can even give it to you as an objection. You following me? All right, I'm loving the head nods. Okay, your second option is called reframing. So we had pre-framing, now we have reframing. So reframing is where you change the way your client thinks about the situation. You're getting them to take the action of literally changing their perception. So I'm going to give you a funny Oregon one here, which is your friend might say, man, this rain is horrible and my mood is so affected by it. I'm so tired of rain. It happens to rain a lot in Oregon. And you say, well, it's been so hot lately. This rain is going to keep me nice and cool. You're putting a positive spin to something that is perceivably negative in their mind and putting a positive spin to it. Okay, so that is reframing. So you might reframe this current market with saying something generic like, you know, there's opportunities in every market. You know, I've seen the highs and I've seen the lows, and there's opportunities everywhere as long as we educate ourselves. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help educate you and be your consultant. Okay, so reframing. The next one is called as if framing. Hope you guys are writing fast. All right, as if framing is you're painting a picture. You are now an artist. As if framing is painting a picture for them to visualize themselves in a scenario that hasn't happened yet, but you're getting them to envision that it has happened. So in order to do as if framing, you have to start a lot of your sentences or conversations with things like, well, just imagine if we could get you to Colorado in 3 months. What would happen if we could get you to Florida in 4 months? Right? So it's what would happen, or imagine if. It's that kind of verbiage that is as if framing, and you're just painting a picture of where they're going, right? Getting them to that end spot. You guys might have to pull on that more than you realize when things get rough and you have to do price reductions and you have difficult conversations. Remembering that vision that you created for them can be instrumental in helping you get through some of the roadblocks. Okay, this is the last one. Number 4 is deframing. This one, I highly recommend that you only maybe use this one if you are in rapport with your client. Sometimes it doesn't work as well if you're not in rapport with them, but deframing is very similar to a takeaway. And it would sound something like, well, it sounds like you already have this handled. So this may not work for you as well as it worked for the rest of my clients. Right? Sounds like you already have the answers that you need. It sounds like you already have the resources that you need. And my marketing plan may not work as well for you as it has for the last 200 people that I just closed, or the last 20 people that I just closed, right? It's a takeaway. It takes a little bit more of an aggressive personality to do it. It's not necessarily my go-to, but it's definitely my backup if I feel like it's right for the situation. All right, you guys still with me?
Ouch, that one will leave a mark.
Yeah. Yep. It's
on
a takeaway.
purpose.
Mm-hmm. So, and I want to make sure I leave time for questions. You guys, this seriously could probably be like a 3-part class. I do want to try to leave you with maybe just one script. Do I still have time, Randy, to share a script?
Yes, you do.
Okay, awesome. So a really, really short script, is I don't make the market, I interpret it. Right? So if they're getting frustrated with you because you're delivering not sugar-coated information, let them know that you don't make the market. The market is determined by the buyers. The market is determined by demand, right? By economy. The market is not determined by you, though you do interpret the market. And you are there again to be their consultant and share that information. You want to really go back to under promising and over delivering. Basics, right? Basics, under promise and over deliver. Oh, there's so much stuff I still want to share with you guys. Randy, we might have to do a part 2.
That's no worry, Andrea. This is perfect. I think it really gives them an understanding that it's the market, not them. It's giving you tools and resources to have these conversations. And I want to point out the elephant in the room. Many agents have listed the properties because it's so hard to get a listing. So they're motivated to get the listing. They maybe go against what their gut's telling them in price point, and then they have to defend it. So when we get challenged in that, we defend our actions, right? That's making it about you, not about the house, not about them, not about the market. And so what I'm hearing in this, and I love the number 1 pre-frame, killing the monster when they're small, reframing, changing their perception. And then 3, as if framing, painting a picture, visualizing a future. That one's emotional. And then, of course, I like the takeaway, the deframing. Personally, I love the takeaways and seeing what their reactions are. This has been amazing. We've got a couple of people that have asked questions. I think you've covered it for the most part, but I want one specific question that I want to make sure I get to was, even though the numbers don't lie, how do you work a seller through the process of letting go of their value that was accurate 3 months ago, but not today?
Yeah, so I think that you have to really pull in all of your tools. So you have to pull in the national numbers, not just doing a CMA, right? Because a CMA may not have caught up yet, Just kind of the opposite of the problem we've been having. Appraisers were having a hard time with showing the high values because houses were selling at such a fast rate that they were having a hard time catching the values, because they literally had houses that were closing like yesterday that they were trying to grab the value for to prove this high value of the house they're appraising today, right? Because of the market was moving so quickly. And now you have the opposite effect. So now you have appraisers, going in, or sellers that are seeing these prices come down either slowly or quickly, but they haven't really caught up yet. So when you pull 6 months of data, 6 months ago, we were still rushing pretty strong, right? And so you may only have 2 months of data that is showing hyper locally what the market is actually doing. I would make sure, at least in our market, we're able to pull the last month's stats from our multiple listing service and look at the tiniest increases. So sellers do not need 500 stats. They do need, most likely, about 2 to 3 good statistics you share with them, whether that's showing the increase in days on market, showing the increase in listing inventory. Even if there's small increases, I can show you right now, from January to June in our area, our amount of price reductions went up by about 2 to 3 price reductions every single month, starting in January. The amount of price reductions that were done went up every single month and have consistently continued to go up. You could show that one stat and just show the trend, right? This is the trend that is going on right now. I think that you have to also really understand your client's personality. So if a lot of you guys know the DISC profile, if you know that, it is just understanding how your client gets information, how they like to get it. So a high D personality is going to want information really bullet pointed. They do not want the full story. They don't want to look at 15 reports. They want you to bullet point the information for them. If you're trying to serve them up 15 statistics, their eyes are going to glass over and you're going to lose them. If they're a high I, they want the full story. They want to hear all the stories, right? And they probably want to talk to you for an hour and a half, because that's how they get their information. If they're a high S, they're somebody that typically likes stability. So if you're freaking them out real bad, they're probably going to start to get real nervous. And then a high C is somebody that is really analytical. Those are the people that want 15 reports. So my answer to your question is also, you have to understand who your client is, and you've got to be able to gauge pretty quickly what type of personality they are. And anybody can morph their personality for just 30 minutes, right? Match them, speak their language for the hour or the 30 minutes that you're talking to them, match their language and present the information in such a way that speaks to them. Does that help? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think you nailed it. And I think this is really valuable, not only in timing, but really what's going on in the market. Agents are facing challenges with price reduction strategies and languages and conversations. And I remember when the market turned hard in 08, 09, whenever that time frame was, our listing presentations changed, right? We started saying, hey, by the way, this is our best guess of what's going on, but it's a very fluid market. We're going to set a price reduction strategy in place in advance. Now, we hope we don't have to have it, but we're not going to have this conversation again and again and again and again, right? So we're listing today, but on August 15th, we're going down 5%. On September 15th, we're going down another 5%. On October 15th, we're going down another 7%. We don't want any of that to happen, but that's what's expected in this market if the market rejects us. This is not me. I love your house. The market may reject your house. This is our strategy, but we're going for the gold. We're going for the prize, right? And so sometimes those pre-framing conversations can help you, because there's nothing worse than doing your best job and then 30 days later going, hey, I missed it, or the market's changed again. And they're like, the market hasn't changed. It's been 30 days, right? So take this into your skill set and, use the bullets that Andrea laid out. This is recorded. You go back and listen to this. This is a lot of content for 25 minutes, but I think it was really well displayed and taught, and I think it will help your business. So Andrea, thank you for being here. I appreciate that. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Tom Daves to close us out for the day. But thank you for being here for the team meeting. Atomic Habits. We're here every Wednesday. We've got great speakers and people that are willing to contribute to All Ships Rise with a Rising Tide.
Awesome.
So thank you for being
Andrea,
here.
so awesome, Andrea. Thank you, Randy. Took pages of notes, gonna use it. Just amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, a couple of announcements. This Friday, Freedom Friday at 9 a.m. We're gonna talk about MOFR. Do you guys know what a MOFR is? Well, it's making an offer for immediate response. Right now, we need to move our clients, whether they're buyers or sellers, we need to create some energy because they're scared, they're afraid. So to get more listings, if you attend Friday, you'll learn what a MOFR is. And I'm bringing in an institutional buyer, OfferPad. There's Open Door and there's OfferPad. We have the director of OfferPad, Robert Bruce, who's going to be here to share how to get paid, how to get a listing, get your full 6%, and then also how they pay 3% commission for any homes that they purchase and they acquire. You probably know about 13.2% of the homes went to institutional buyers in the last year. So that's going to be a good one. We also have a ton of great mastermind meetings coming up. We'll post those here in the link. So
hey, Tom.
Yeah. Hey, and Don, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention next Wednesday for Atomic Habits, we've got Krista Mayshore as our guest. So be sure not to miss that. She is one of the top social media experts in the nation, has a very successful team in California, and can help you to understand how to translate social media into real business. So be there or be square.
Awesome. Well, we all got our inspiration, time to put it into perspiration. Thank you again, Andrea, Randy, Don. We'll see y'all later. We love you. Let us know.
Matthew, thanks for letting me take her.
Absolutely, brother. No problem.
I appreciate you, man.
Great job, Andrea.
Yeah, excellent.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Bye now.
Bye for now.